Electronic voting is a hot potato in countries like Estonia, India, Brazil, and Namibia, amongst others. South Africa has now jumped on the bandwagon, with the IEC opening conversations about the feasibility, sustainability, and policy implications of this method of voting. A wide range of role players, including political parties, election management bodies, business, civil society, and technology manufacturers, are making inputs and deliberating on e-voting at the 3-day conference in Cape Town. But the IEC warns that the system will not be implemented anytime soon.
Timing is very important. These discussions have begun. We believe that they will lead to things we can eventually put down onto a green paper, have a discussion on it, and that green paper graduates to a point where a piece of legislation is in place, and we certainly limit our choices to the choices that are available and we can implement. But I can tell you, it is not a matter we are going to do in time for 2026. It may not be in time for 2029. It is work at that point that is going to require that we look at how best do we implement. Do we run parallel processes to engender confidence in this work? Do we let people play with these tools to be sure that these are not dangerous things to do, but they're real things and they can see the outcome. It is when we have that process and we have built that confidence that we can then say South Africa will go. So those timelines will become a little clearer as we do that.
Meanwhile, the Home Affairs Minister has told the IEC that various processes must move from paper to digital for e-voting to be possible. The department is in the process of implementing a digital identity system for South African citizens and aims to have it fully functional by 2029.
You're not just taking the paper form and replacing it with an online page. You actually need to change. You actually need to transform in the process of moving from paper to online. And I think that is, if you look at the report from the IEC, countries where things have not gone so well when they tried this, that is perhaps one of the reasons why. Because you have to understand you're not just moving from keeping the system in the status quo. You actually want to improve the system in the process. So that's why I emphasized, for a voter, what matters is the long queue, for example. If you digitalize this process, but the queue is still just as long, you haven't actually transformed. Yes, you've replaced paper perhaps with a machine, but you haven't transformed the process. You haven't reformed it.
One of the stakeholders that are making inputs at the conference is the CEO and founder of the Groundwork Collective, Mbali Ntuli. She expresses her views about the positive and negative impacts of introducing such a system in the country.
Will the digital divide not perhaps actually discourage some people from being able to vote? Is it going to happen in person at the voting station? Is it going to happen in someone's home? Because again, that becomes a hindrance to whether they're really free and fair if some people are going to be in lines for a long time versus some people that might be able to just vote from the comfort of their couch. What are the cost implications? When would it come into place? What would be the phasing of it? Because as we saw last year in our national elections, the mass confusion that happened just with a few tweaks that we had to our Electoral Amendment Act. And so those are some of the questions that are happening. And then of course, cybersecurity is a huge one. We've seen around the world where there has been potential to hack that.
The IEC has called on South Africans to engage in such discussions, saying that e-voting is not just a conversation about technology, but it's about shaping the future of the country's elections and its integrity. For SABC News, I'm Natasha Piri in Cape Town.